This was what the biggest aquarium I owned used to look like. And I'm using past tense because 3 hours of back-breaking work and a lot of thinking later, this is what it ended up looking like. So this is the story of my biggest project ever. One day, I was bored and home alone, and I stopped to admire my aquarium. Except there was nothing to admire because it was full of dirt and the water was yellow and the Pelisnaria had taken over. So I decided to do a water change. And I think midway into the water change, I decided to just let the tank drain because it was time to rescape this aquarium. It's been 5 years. And the logical next step is always to take out the heaviest thing. So that's what I did. I took out the driftwood. After removing the wood, it was time to do the hard thing and take out all the plants, which I'm telling you is a grueling process, especially when you have so much Anubias. Anubias roots stick to everything. Anyway, after chucking all the plants in a bucket, I started draining out the soil and removing the fish. And one long hour of work later, I had managed to remove everything except that annoying last layer of soil, which I got rid of using some newspaper and a mug. And after doing that, I was left with an empty aquarium. So it was time to start scaping. After creating a ring of rocks, I filled the gaps between the rocks with some gravel and then started adding the vermicompost. The gravel is to prevent the vermicompost from spilling out onto the sand. And once I was done distributing the vermicompost, it was time to spread it out. And now, like a true vaulted metal tank, we have to cover up the vermicompost with some black sand. Now this just looks like concrete right now, but as soon as it gets wet, it turns the nice black that we all love. Now it was time to return the driftwood. I really had no idea what I was going to do with this. These are 3 humongous pieces and I had no way to plan the scale. So I just went with the flow. And after a few attempts, I ended up with something I thought I liked. And now it was time for the sand. Once there was a perfectly even layer, it was time to return the plants. After putting in all the epiphytes, I decided to fill it up with some water. The decision to fill it up with some water turned it into filling up the entire tank with water, which is probably the biggest mistake I could have made. The tank looked great, but I had no idea what was looming over the horizon. Anyways, moving on. So I plugged in the filter and instantly regretted it because the power was way too high and I ended up spraying water everywhere. And this was my second attempt, in which I think I got it right. And that's when it happened. Every aquascaper's worst nightmare. I don't know whether it was the flow or me touching the brick, but everything started floating and the scape was totally ruined. So my dad and I spent a long time trying to set up the tank. We fixed everything and set it all up back again. This time making sure to put some rocks on the wood. After that we added in the fish and the tank looked amazing. The filter was running smoothly and the fish seemed to have established themselves quite well. The planting was sparse right now, but After a few days, I added in some more. Right now, the fish in this tank are some Pristilla tetras, peacock rainbows, glowlight tetras, a male crevensis, a tiger loach, a pleco, and a few other tiny fish like a cherry bug. All these fish were in the previous setup, but I feel like the tank needs more, so I'll probably buy some more fish once it's more settled. It's been a week, and in that time, I've added in some kawamba and a few more new fish. I'll get to the fish in a second, but first, let's just appreciate how amazing kawamba looks when there's a good blanket of vermicompost keeping it growing well. Now, not in my best stocking decision, I added in some peppered corals. These guys will definitely mess up the sand, but for their looks, they're worth it. I've also added in everybody's favorite community aquarium fish, neon tetras. To know more about them, check out my species profile. The other superstars are some albino paradise fish. These guys are really underappreciated, but they look amazing and they're extremely graceful. I can't wait to see them grow up in this aquarium. And true to Moss on Wood, there's definitely going to be a species profile soon. Now, even though this tank has a great filter, I still do weekly water changes just to keep the water quality up and to keep it nice and clear. Now, this tank has been one of the hardest scapes I've done on this channel, and I absolutely cannot wait to update you as it progresses. But for now, thanks for watching, and I really hope you liked it.